Welcome, friends. Welcome back to the kitchen. Welcome back to Sunday morning and the old cookbook show. Today we're going to do a recipe out of this cookbook called the Purefoy Hotel Cookbook. True and tried recipes of real Southern cooking. First published in 1941 and revised a few times after that. This is the anniversary edition. So the Purefoy Hotel was in Talladega, Alabama. And right off the bat, I have to tell you, I struggled with this book. Someone sent it in to us, and the recipes are great, but I struggled with some of the 1940s thinking of Alabama. There are several passages in this book that I find just morally reprehensible, like absolutely off the chain morally reprehensible. So I'm not going to go into those parts of the book. I'm just going to stick to the recipes. And the idea is that this hotel started in 1920, essentially as a rooming house for traveling salesmen. And the dining room became known as this amazing place to eat. And so the hotel expanded and expanded the dining room, expanded the dining experience, and then they came up with this cookbook. And what I find most interesting about this cookbook is that it's not written in one voice. You can tell by looking through the recipes that it's written in several different voices, in several different recipe styles. And the one that we're going to do today is written in a completely different recipe style than any other recipe in this book, and it's called Poncho Pie. I think I'm really going to enjoy this, which is one of the reasons why I'm making it. I think it's going to be great. So it tells you to start off to saute in a large frying pan, green pepper, cloves of garlic, and 2 tablespoons of shortening. So I didn't have any shortening or lard today, but I had bacon fat. So the bacon fat is melted and pretty hot. So in goes the green pepper. And we'll crush in some garlic. When I talk about this being written in different voices, it's not just the style that the recipes are written down in and how the ingredients are laid out in the instructions. It's also something like this recipe calls for 3 cloves of garlic. And a clove of garlic is what we call it here where I live in Toronto. And that's the inside the bulb. You break the bulb apart and there's cloves of garlic inside. A couple of weeks ago, we did a recipe from Gebhardt's chili powder from Texas. And it called for a button of garlic. I'd never heard button of garlic before. But on this same page, there is a recipe for Italian spaghetti. And it calls for 1 garlic button. And so that word comes up again, a button of garlic, that I'd never heard before, that I've never used. But in this book, it's used interchangeably through the recipes. So you can sort of tell that different people have written these recipes. So I'm just going to saute these green peppers a little bit more. And one of the passages at the beginning of this book that I do want to bring your attention to, I thought was pretty interesting. Prominent men and women from all parts of the world have come to Talladega, Alabama to sample the food served in our dining room and have returned home singing the praises of meals prepared and served in the manner of antebellum days. Duncan Hines, in his book Adventures in Good Eating, lists the Purefoy along with the select eating places of the nation. So I really want to find that other book and see what Duncan Hines says about his time at the Purefoy Hotel and about the food there and whether he thinks it as good as they sort of allude to. They don't come right out and say that he sung its praises, but that he ate there and that he spoke about it. And yes, Duncan Hines was a real guy. Duncan Hines was a writer, a food critic, food reviewer who sold his name. And that's how his name ends up on cake boxes. I think if he was alive today, he might be aghast that his name is on some of those cake boxes. Anyway, so on to the next thing. It says, to this add a pound of ground round steak, a teaspoon of chili powder, and 2 teaspoons of salt. So in goes the ground beef, chili powder, and salt. And we'll just break that up. And it says to cook this. Oh, it just says to cook this. It doesn't give a time or what to expect. So, oh wait, yeah, it does say. The way that this recipe is laid out is a little bit wacky, but it does say to cook 10 minutes, then add the next set of ingredients. So, I'm supposed to cook this for 10 minutes. And in that 10 minutes, the ground beef will sort of brown a little bit, I expect. And I want to break it up so that the pieces are as small as possible. I mean, this smells really good. I could eat it just on its own. I could take that, pour it over some mashed potatoes, and I would be very happy, I think. I don't think I necessarily need to add anything more to it, but it now tells me to add 1.5 cups of cooked tomatoes and 1 cup of creamed corn. I'm going to cheat a little bit. Creamed corn, not something that I really ever bring into the house. Julie doesn't like creamed corn at all. And a can of creamed corn here is much more than a cup. So I'm going to use the whole can because what am I going to do with the rest of the can? So I'm going to put that in. For the tomatoes, instead of cooked tomatoes, I'm going to use Rotel. And for people that live outside of Canada or the United States, Rotel is chopped cooked tomatoes with diced chilies in it. It's got a bit of a tang. It's got some real flavor to it. It's great in a whole bunch of things. I'm going to use that instead of the 1.5 cups of cooked tomatoes because this can is only about 1.25 cups. So I think between too many creamed corn and not enough tomato, we should be fine. Now, I'm supposed to bring this to a boil and boil briskly before adding the next ingredients. Okay, that is now boiling briskly. So I'm supposed to add in cornmeal, milk, minced olives, so minced green olives. I'm assuming green. It doesn't say what color. We'll just go with green. Then it asks for cooked mushrooms. And I struggled with this. What would be cooked mushrooms in this time period? And going through this book, a lot of the other recipes asked for canned mushrooms. Canned mushrooms in this time period would have been the norm. I know you go to the grocery store today, fresh mushrooms, there's always fresh mushrooms, and they're relatively inexpensive. But even just 25 years ago, fresh mushrooms were harder to come by in a lot of parts of North America, and canned was kind of the normal. So I'm going to put in a can of sliced cooked mushrooms, and we stir that all together. I'm supposed to transfer this to a casserole dish and then bake it at 325 degrees, uncovered, until set. So let's get this into the oven. Hey, Joyce.
Hey, Glenn. Hey, friends. I'm not sure.
Spoon. Let's go over for spoon. I think spoon should be. Let's see.
It looks almost like you could cut it like a...
Almost, but it's hot. It's hot out of the oven. So as much as it has,
okay.
once it cools, I imagine you just slice it out.
Okay, but would you eat it cool?
No, I don't think you'd eat it cool.
As
But
I try to figure exactly what you got going here, you've got peas and not peas, corn, pepper, some tomato, mushrooms,
olives, cornmeal.
I don't even know what to think about this.
So 2 years ago, we did a recipe from a cookbook from St. Catherine's. I think it was
Okay.
St. Catherine's.
Wow.
And it was called tamale pie, and it was beef on the bottom and then cornmeal mush on the top, and it was a strata. This is essentially that built out with a few more things and then just mixed all together before it's cooked.
There's one. Okay, it's the olives that are the surprise flavor.
Okay. I can maybe do without the olives.
Yeah,
I can maybe do without the olives.
hence the surprise flavor.
But the rest of that is comforting, strangely.
But these things often are, right?
Yeah. And you don't even notice that it's creamed corn.
Even just saying that makes me want to not. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's not the olives. It's cream corn, huh? Yeah. I guess there's enough other stuff.
This is good. This is good. I mean, as with any recipe,
There'd be a few things I would change to make
That's
it
it.
my own.
that's it. You look at a recipe and, you make it once and you go, this is really good. But I think if I change these 3 things, it would be more to my liking. And I think that's the case with this one. I would leave out the olives. And I would maybe bump up the chili flavor. I'd maybe use a different kind of chili.
I was gonna say I would. You could even do like a more of a taco kind of flavor.
Yeah, definitely. Something like that.
I suspect if you took out, used a different kind of tomato, you could also do it like a jerk flavor.
Jerk flavor would be amazing. Wouldn't it? Okay, so lots of things you can do with this. And I wonder, did I have to find the Duncan Hines book? What did Duncan Hines eat here at the Purefoy Hotel? And
Hold on. Duncan Hines?
yeah, the Duncan Hines. He was a guy. He was a
He's
real
not.
guy.
Okay,
No,
so
he's
it's
not
not
just
just some. It's not just the box of
not,
cake.
no,
It's
he
not
was-
just a brand name.
No, he was a real guy.
There's an actual person.
Yeah. An actual person who sold his name to a giant conglomerate to make boxed cakes.
On that note, if you want Glenn and Friends box cake,
Cakes. I'm willing to put my name on a box
you
cake.
know,
So I would give this a try. I think it's a very interesting meal, and let us know. I mean, when we did that last recipe, a lot of people said this is how their family made it. If this is something that you eat, let us know how your family makes it, because it's not something that ever was part of our family life.
No.
No. So thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.